Welcome to Editor-in-Chief Training. When you first log into StatPearls, you will have a choice of going to either your user dashboard where you can do free CME or your contributor dashboard where you can write, develop, and modify content. In this case, you will be going to the contributor dashboard. As an editor-in-chief, you will scroll down to the section that says Editor-in-Chief Specialties. When you get to this area, you will notice 9 instruction sets. When you find the 9 instruction sets, essentially that's what I'm going to be going over today. So if there's anything that you can't remember or you need to review, please return to the 9 steps and review them to see which step you're missing. Before you start the project of doing the job of editor-in-chief, it's very important that you have access to the blueprint of the exam, you print it out, and review it in detail. You want to be familiar with it before you start the project, because as you're doing this step, you will want to record which topics are missing, make a list. You'll also want to record a list of topics where we have the topic, we're just missing the key killer question that you need for your board exam. So it's crucial that you have that blueprint so that you can follow it as you do this job. Once you've finished reviewing the blueprint, you will go to the red control panel button. Click the red control panel button. Once you get to this area, the first thing you will do is change the number 25 to 200. The next step you will do is click Keyword for Details until the arrow goes up. Sometimes it goes away, sometimes it's up. Your job is to make it up before you get started. What this does is it puts all questions in alphabetical order based on the keyword. There is no easy way to track your progress unless you simply remember what keyword you're working on when you're interrupted and have to stop the project and restart. As a consequence, it's crucial you do it in alphabetical order, and if you get interrupted, you write on a piece of scratch paper where you left off. Before you start reviewing the actual questions that will be placed into and out of your database, you need to understand that we have 2 question types. One question type is quiz questions with 4 teaching points. The other question type has no teaching points. They're test questions. It will say test question, typically somewhere in this column. I can find the test question. Test questions have no teaching points. Quiz questions have 4 teaching points. Either way, your decision is whether the question should be present in the database. It doesn't matter if it has a quiz question or test question. Either way, we want to know if the question is an eligible question for review, either used as a quiz by students or as a test by instructors. Your job is to remove questions that are inappropriate and add questions that are appropriate for this exam. Every once in a while, as you quickly review questions, you will see a question that has an error or something is wrong with it where you believe it should be repaired. This is not your primary job, but we always appreciate it if we can fix a question. But your job is not editing. Your job is only commenting at this stage of the project. So you would click the comment button and try to write a fairly detailed note to give us some idea of what's wrong with the question and how we need to fix it so that the students will have a better question. The person that will be fixing the question is unlikely to be trained at the same level as you are on this particular topic or question, So please, the more feedback you can provide, the more detailed, the better. However, please remember, your primary job is not to comment on questions or fix them at this stage of the project. Your primary role is to decide what questions should be in the database. When you do send a comment, you write it in here and click the feedback button. When you are ready to start reviewing questions, you basically need to understand that our database consists of two types of questions. Green questions that are located currently in your database, and red questions that are not in your database but are in the giant database of 100,000 questions that are currently not being used. So your job is basically to turn green questions into red questions or red questions into green questions. You will notice that if it's a green question, there's a remove button. I will shortly show you red questions where you will have an add button. The idea is to get the best questions from the 100,000 into green so that the students can use the very best, highest yield questions for their exam. Please remember, as you are selecting questions, we are selecting questions for board review, for them to help increase their odds of passing the board exam. This is the function of these questions. They are for board review and certification exams. The students want high yield questions or reasonably high yield questions that will help them prepare for the test. When you start on the project of removing and adding questions, if you can remember the jingle, should I stay or should I go, you can easily do this job. You start by clicking on the question, you give it a 10 to 15 second read, you close the question, and you sing to yourself, should I stay or should I go? If you should stay, you do nothing. The question is already in your database. It's a green question. If it should go, you hit the remove button and the question is removed from your database. The goal is to remove questions that you think are inappropriate or low yield for your board exam. As you are going through this quickly, every once in a while, you're going to reach a topic where you wish that we had more questions. Well, the fact of the matter is we have generally 5 to 30 questions on every topic in this database. So, if you need another question on abdominoplasty, all you have to do is copy it and go up to search by keyword, which we call the Sherlock Holmes button, looking for clues. So you click Sherlock Holmes, you click paste, and now you will notice that there are 7 questions, only one of which happens to be green. Now you're in a position to look for more questions to add to your database. So now you do a quick 10 or 15 second review and decide if the question is appropriate for this board exam. If it is, you close it and click Add. So now you're going through and selecting a few more questions on this topic that are appropriate and should be added to this exam. Now, as you do this, every once in a while, this is a giant database, it will get confused and suddenly take you to all 99,000 questions, in this case, that are not currently being used. You will notice most of them are red, 98,583. So, if that ever happens, all you have to do is click Show Specialty Questions, and now you are back to a situation where you have access to your database. Remember, your job is to remove the green, put them into red, or find red and put them into green, and to do this as quickly and efficiently as possible. Most editors-in-chief take approximately 10 to 15 hours to do this entire job, unless you happen to get a giant database on more than 1,500 questions, in which case this may take a few more hours. Bottom line is, we're just trying to come as close as possible to a solid, high-yield database to help students prepare for their board or certification exams. As you are going through the project, looking for questions to add or remove, you will be crossing off topics on the blueprint. When you finish the entire project, you will have a number of topics that either you have circled and said this topic is not in the database, or the topic's in the database, but we really need more questions on that topic. At this point, when you are finished, you will email me at editor@statpearls.com the list of two lists. One list will be the list of topics that we are missing, we need to add, recruit authors and editors. The other list will be, we have the topic, we're just missing the killer or key question that you need for your board exam. Either you may find a fellow or resident willing to write the killer questions, or perhaps you're willing to do that, in which case you'll sign up to be a paid question writer, and you can write the fill-in questions, or over time, I will eventually find people willing to write the missing questions. As for missing topics, we will eventually recruit authors and editors to write the article on that topic, and they will write additional questions. Eventually, we will fill in all holes on all board exams so that this project will provide a complete and comprehensive listing of both questions and articles for every single board exam in all of the health professions. I want to thank you all for working on this project and removing and adding questions and trying to create a clean and comprehensive database. This is actually one of the most crucial aspects of the project. Please remember that StatPearls only charges for board review questions in the United States, Canada, New Zealand, Australia, UK, as well as the oil-rich nations. The rest of the world, we generally provide the questions for free or at a dramatically discounted rate. The articles are currently free and remain free worldwide. They are used by over 350 million students. Please understand, it is the questions and the revenue derived from them that supports the entire project. If we don't have solid, reliable databases of multiple choice questions, we will not have the financing to keep this project going. So your job is crucial to the survival of the project. When you have completed removing the questions, adding the questions, and sending me a list, please also send me an email that requests a W-9 form as well as the form to create an invoice. We will compensate you and provide an honorarium for your time in removing and adding questions and making the list. We will also provide your residents or fellows with free access to your database once you've completed this task. Please contact me at editor@statpearls.com for further information on both the honorarium, how to fill out the W-9 form, and also how to provide invoicing. I want to thank you all again for working on this project, trying to make it better. We believe in the next 2 to 4 years, StatPearls will replace all textbooks with a giant database of free review articles that the entire world can use, and textbooks will finally become a thing of the past. Thank you again for all your efforts. Please call me anytime at 727-289-9796 for questions, or email me at editor@statpros.com. If you need additional training, I have office hours, usually 15 minutes or 30 minutes, where I'm happy to do one-on-one additional training. I'm looking forward to working with you. If you have any concerns, please give me a call before you start your efforts. Thanks again, Scott.